All right, hi guys. It is season 3 of Doop's Closet. Today we have Tina Worthey, and she is the owner of Open Heart, Open Mind Hypnotherapy. She's got a lot of credentials and a lot of projects. So I'm going to pass it over to her, and she can go ahead and just tell us all about herself. Go ahead. Hi, Tina.
And once I got that, my screen was blocked. It says recording in progress. And I'm like, oh, yes, I thank you.
Of course.
Hello. Back to the real world here.
So how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fabulous. It's nice
Yeah.
to be here, connecting with like-minded souls. I love it. I love that more and more people are experiencing their awakening, waking up to spiritual connection, realizing that we're so much more than these human containers.
Yeah, these beautiful vessels. Yeah. Waking up to that is definitely a gift. So what are some of the beautiful things you do for the collective? Like what's your thing? What's your niche? Tell us all about it. We want to know. Who is Tina?
What I do or what I am? Well, I think
Both.
that's just the as we all individually raise our vibration, our frequency, we are already influencing people just by being and energetically lifting others. But in my profession, I am the good habit fairy godmother. So people that are stuck in bad habits, like smoking or addiction or procrastination, or so there's so many what I call low vibe habits. Well, I help people destroy their bad habits and empower good habits, because so much of our journey is what we do. We become our behaviors. We are truly creatures of habit.
Yeah. That's actually something we've talked about a lot on the show is how we got to get stuck in these mental loops, and it's up to us to decide whether these are the rings that bind us or not. And so thank you so much for the work you do with the collective. That's so important to have somebody out there actively working and passing off the keys, because there's a lot of our brothers out there that need that help. So thank you so much for your work. That's amazing. What else do you do?
I am also, so with the habits, that's hypnotherapy, we work in the subconscious realm, which is 95% of our, only 10%, less than 10% of our brain is the analytical, the waking brain. So it's all work done in the subconscious. But I also, in deeper levels of the subconscious, you also can connect with the quantum field and the superconscious, whatever you want to call it. These are just words. With as a quantum healing hypnosis practitioner. And in that field, time is no longer linear. So we access not only your current existence, but all the other existences you've ever had.
That's beautiful. I'm so happy here, guys. We have another quantum being. Oh, dang. It's not often that we get people that have the experience with the quantum realm or the spiritual realm to be able to come back and talk about it. Because usually they're off doing big things. So we're blessed to have Tina's time today. And that's amazing. So how'd you get started on this field? Like, what was your inspiration? Like, how'd this begin?
On my own journey, struggling with addiction. But back it up a little bit. It's why I turned to addiction, is because I was uncomfortable in the reality that I was perceiving.
Okay.
Felt like I didn't have control. So I turned to drugs to cope, to get over my anxieties. And there's always an underlying reason why you develop so-called bad habits. And so I put myself in treatment. I tried to get help, but that intuitively I felt this is not helping the problem. This is actually making it worse, because so much of it was shame-based and it was so focused on the substance itself. So it wasn't until I discovered quantum healing hypnosis done on me and started to tune inward to my own wisdom, to my own knowledge, got to get to the root of these problems, started feeling empowered, not depowered. That's when I started making my transformation.
Wow. So when did the bad habits start? Like what happened?
Oh
If you don't
gosh.
mind, like I don't want to dig too deep or nothing, but I'm just like, because that, for me, like when I was young, the bad habits really kind of started when I dealt with some sexual abuse when I was really young. And like that's when I started to realize that like I couldn't really trust people. And that was really hard to break down that wall again. But that started a bad habit for me of like kind of keeping people at a very, very far distance. And yeah, it was very hard to make attachments for a long time. But I did eventually. It was tough. But what like what happened?
For me, similar, and
Yeah.
especially around men, learning I
Oh
couldn't
no.
trust men,
Yeah.
having been well, in my first career, I was an entertainer. I
Mhm.
dropped out of college, moved to Hollywood, became a stunt woman, fire eater, and snake charmer.
Mhm.
But there is so much sexism in Hollywood,
Yeah.
uh, in that arena, and just in general.
Mhm.
So not only was I at first making a living as an exotic dancer, which is an environment where you're just objectified anyway and just treated like a piece of meat, but
Mhm.
to have that happen off in my life too, it's such a sad state of what we teach men to be and how they perceive women.
Mhm.
Um, it's a society problem.
Yeah.
The masculine, the divine masculine and feminine, it's so tipped over to unhealthy masculine energy that it pervades all of society.
Yeah. I agree with you there. And thank you for getting through that because you're clearing through stuff for the collective right now, like through your experiences and through your sharing. Like I thank you for all your work. I thank you for being here. Um, when it
Thank you.
comes to the collective, um, I agree with you. I agree completely that our masculine and feminine aspects are completely out of whack. Our masculine is overly feminized, but also overly masculine as well. And it's like it went full circle. I don't even know how that's possible, but there's some weird stuff going on with the energy. And then the feminine has, she's been trampled and abused in so many different ways. And the fact that the women have gotten up and still stood and still held on to, whether that's tradition, whether that's their soul, whether that's their family, whether that's their kids, they grab and hold on to anything they can and they protect it. And when you were speaking to me, I couldn't help but feel that, and I was just like, dang, we got a warrior on our hands. Thank you so much.
I did the most fascinating past life regression with an individual
Hmm.
who, when she went into her past life, uh, she was wearing a dress, and she said, "Oh my God, I've got big bosoms and facial hair, and oh my God, I've got both male and female parts down there."
Hmm.
I guess we
Hmm.
call him a hermaphrodite. And this
Yeah.
was mid 1700s in around Richmond, Virginia. And she
Wow.
discovered that she was an entertainer, and
Uh-huh.
she loved being on stage wearing these frilly dresses and showing off her fancy boots and her you know her voluptuousness.
Uh-huh.
And she said that she felt the most authentic, the most loved when she was on stage, where she could be herself. It was
Yeah.
off stage that she had to put on the performance because of all the judgmental people and all of the you know
Yeah.
uh, what she was getting off stage. So isn't that interesting? And
I
this
agree.
person's life, her lesson, you're always shown something for a reason with the past lives your higher self shows you. And her lesson currently is, finding that balance of masculine and feminine energy within herself. Because when one
Hmm.
is stifled, then it just creates problems.
Yeah.
And
I
I feel, I'm sorry,
No,
I
go
feel
ahead.
I've finally come to a balance. I mean, you're going to probably talk about this about me later, but I went through a whole year and a half where I was fighting men. I mean, literally
Yeah.
fighting them. And, but that was needed for my own balancing act.
Yeah, that's intense. That's so intense. For one, thank you again. And two, like, okay, I want to know. You've been dangling the story. I gotta know. So tell me about the first fight. I want to know how you started fighting dudes. Like,
Okay.
okay,
Well,
wait. Okay, I have wait before you start. I have another question. I'm so sorry. Okay, so like, when did you think that was a good idea? like, like, when did that? I want to know that
that pop
first.
in my head.
Yeah,
Well,
when did that idea pop in your head?
fire eating and snake charming was kind of slow. I wasn't getting enough gigs to pay my rent. And I was
Dang.
already a stunt woman. I was a martial artist,
Yeah.
taekwondo and jujitsu. Back up a bit, because I thought I was safe from men once I would take martial arts. Well,
Yeah.
turns out I was in a dressing room. Some dude came in, tried to rape me, and I landed him a beautiful sidekick, right? Taekwondo. He grabbed my leg, threw me against the wall, and had his way with me anyway. So I said, okay. That's when I switched to jujitsu and judo, and it really is more of an equalizer sport. So, so I knew how to fight. And so as a stunt woman, I met this dude. I said, "Oh, Richard, I'm things are slow. Is there any way you can make money?" He goes, "Yeah, why don't you become part of my Right to Fight Society? You just go and fight men." Okay, sure. Okay, so and there's this whole underground world of men that want to fight women. Some of it is more fantasy, but some of it is straight on real fighting. So my first fight was in Atlanta, Georgia. I flew to Atlanta, Georgia, where I met this plumber on steroids. And he was into squaring off and exchanging body punches. Just squaring off, and not into, the objective was not to give ground. First with boxing gloves, then bare-fisted.
Wow.
And every time, I'd punch him and it'd be like hitting a rock. He'd punch me and it was like I'd step back. And at one point he hit me so hard, there was like this jolt of electricity went down from my toes out my head. I have never felt such intense pain. I said, like, whoa, I need a minute. So I went to the bathroom. It's on my period too, so I was contending with that.
Oh
and
man, the double battle.
I had myself a good cry.
Yeah.
And then I looked myself in the mirror and said, Athena, that's what I called myself at that time. Athena, you got yourself into this. You are going to get yourself out of this. And I think I discovered my beast that day. I was so determined to break his ground, right? To make him move. And sure enough, next I came out there and bam, he stepped back and said, yes. And he lost the fight. I won. I won. I don't think I lost a single fight.
Wow. That's amazing. Dude, you're like a wall. Like that's awesome. You definitely are the Athena right here. That's so impressive. So how long did you do that for?
Only a year and a half. And
that's still a long time for how many matches is that?
It was pretty much all I did for a while. I'd go to different parts of the country. Yeah. But I must add that my courage was partly methamphetamine. I was addicted to methamphetamine at that time. And I was just watching a special on World War II, where that's why the Germans were so successful at the first of the war. They were on friggin' methamphetamines. And it does help.
Wow. So how'd you pull up from that? Like, because like between like the fighting and the traveling and the drugs and the guys, like how did what happened? Tell me
how did I survive?
How did you survive?
Well, that is you can't keep going forever. The only fight, not the only one, but I got hired to do this fight with a woman, and it was going to be filmed. and I don't want to hurt a woman. So I actually lost, she tore my rotator cuff,
Oh, dang.
which kind of ended that fighting career for me.
Yeah. How'd she do it? Just curious.
I don't remember, but it was a takedown. I landed on my shoulder.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, she probably like put her macho arms into it or something. I don't know. That's intense though. How that's well, thank you for fighting. That's I'm sure you on the replay. You ever think about like when you die, you watch the replay of everything. You think,
Oh, yeah.
dude, I want to be there for that replay. I'm gonna just be like, oh, I heard the story. I had to come see it. I'm gonna have popcorn. Like I'm gonna be like, I've been waiting for this. Like
Yeah, I'd like to go back and review that too, because I don't honestly remember a lot of them. Like, oh my God, I did what?
so like at what part of your experience did you realize, like, when did you come to this point where you're like, okay, like, so you got this damage, right? The damage from the rotator cuff, and you were like, okay, so what was your mindset after that? Like, did you stop? Like, like
Yeah,
how did it go?
I did, but luckily
uh,
there was something else that well, I think after that I got involved with this man who became my business partner, and we were doing a film project. The end of
okay.
that story is not pretty either. He ended up embezzling all of both of our incomes. My drug habit escalated, and I
Oh no.
finally left California and moved in temporarily with one of the guys I used to fight
Mhm.
to get back on my feet again, which ended up
Wow.
being
What was
like,
his name?
oh, I can't, I better
Oh,
not
okay.
say.
Sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, that guy. Thank you, out there. Sorry, I just get so interested. I just want to know the characters. Um. So okay. So now you're picking the pieces back up, right? And you're at this new place, and you're feeling like there's probably like, are you in like a new state too?
Yeah, I'm in a new state and I'm feeling hopeless. Like my dreams
Oh
have been
no.
ripped from me.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I
No.
always wanted to be an entertainer. I didn't at that point, I couldn't imagine being anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, dang. So what pulled you
Yeah.
out of that darkness? Like what was the light that you saw?
Took a while. I
Yeah.
actually, it got darker before it got lighter.
Tell me.
Before, I was always prideful on the quality of drugs I was taking.
Hmm.
Now I didn't care.
Yeah.
I had thoughts about suicide, and I even had a plan. I don't
Hmm.
know, but there was always something within me that says, no, I love myself enough not to do this. Myself
Yeah.
in treatment yet again, but treatment's never stuck for me.
Hmm.
In fact, my experience in detox was again an abusive situation. So
What
what I
happened?
imagine prison must be like: no
Yeah.
rights, no
Uh,
respect, you know.
yeah. And so okay, so detoxing is that whole program was foul, right? What was going
Yeah,
on?
and because it's run by the government and they can never get anything.
That's true.
It's just another population of people,
Uh-huh.
addicts, that they want to keep in that state.
Yeah.
It's just not in their best interest to get better. Just like with pharmaceuticals and people with
Hmm.
depression, it's not in big businesses' best interest to actually make these people better.
Oh, I see. So they were making products. Hmm. Well, thank you for telling me. I agree. I've been through the mental. Oh, I've been through mental institution stuff. Like I was dealing with PTSD after I was done with the Air Force. Well, during the time in the Air Force, war is a dangerous subject. But when I was going through, I went through like a military only like psych ward. So they were a lot more gentle. I think I've been spoiled, but to hear that we have mental institutions where they're turning us into literally products, like that's what that is. That's you becoming a number, a tick mark. And to hear that that's exactly what's kind of going on right now in the greater collective, of us being kind of sold away to big pharma in a sense, and how they're trying to, you know, push like annual stuff, and like, you know, regardless of what your opinion is, and this is not, I'm just seeing the parallels here of how important it is to fight back against these corporations that that will fuel human greed, and with that sell the our most vulnerable for money, and that's terrible. Someone should have been there for you. Like, you shouldn't have had to go through that detox chamber by, like, without the love like that's supposed to be there. Like, you deserve,
Agreed.
you
Here
deserve
I
the
am
treatment that
asking
you're
for
supposed to
help.
be there.
Yeah, here I am asking for help. I wasn't committed, you
Yeah,
know, and to
yeah.
put me in a situation where I'm, yeah, basically abused by this white male nurse.
Tell me about it.
When I was first, and he just took a disliking to me.
Mm-hmm.
Denied me food, even a pillow. No phone calls. Just
And just
and
bullying like that.
yeah, yeah,
And he was just, and there was no one you could tell.
no. And
Well,
you're coming, 4 days of not eating because you're coming off of methamphetamine.
yeah,
Not, not the most pleasant situation.
yeah.
And to have no food after I'd already not eaten for 4 days.
How did you pull through that? Like, you are insanely strong. That's like, that's beyond physical strength at that point. That's mental resilience. What were you thinking to pull yourself through such a tumultuous time?
I Back then it feels like it was just pure anger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you really held a lot of that in there.
Yeah. I probably
That's a
still
lot of
do.
fuel.
I probably still do. I'm learning to create escape valves for it, but yeah, there's just a lot of suppressed anger. Absolutely. Probably through lifetimes.
Yeah. When in this lifetime, if you don't mind me asking a little further, what was your first encounter with this anger? Do you
Wow.
remember the first time you felt that flame? While you think, I can tell you mine. You know, I
Okay.
like to share a little bit about me.
Okay.
I remember this was a tough time for me. I was about 7 in Florida, and my mom was trying to kick my dad out because he was not doing good. He was doing a lot of drugs, and he would take the car and just leave. And he was also physically and like verbally abusive to both me and my mom. Um, One night I woke up in the middle of the night, and I've told this story before, but I'll tell you with you anyway. I woke up in the middle of the night, and my mom and dad were fighting real bad, and I just I like, half of me was like paralyzed, and I just was like, stay in bed, just stay in bed and go back to bed, and it'll be okay. And I couldn't, and I, like, after I heard my mom like in noises, like I felt that I just had to get out there. So I ran out there, and I saw my dad like choking my mom, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I couldn't handle, like, my brain, my small child brain couldn't handle it, but I felt like my soul almost was pushed out of my body, and this like black force, like this anger, it was like almost like a red cloak over me. um it just came out, and I remember like speaking almost out of the sides of my tongue, like like, you take your hands off my mom or I'll fucking kill you. Like, and I've always been like a sweet crying child, but like I couldn't handle it. And then my dad turned around and fucking put hands on me too. So uh, he pushed me down real good, and my mom, you know, it kind of broke up the situation. But that was like the first time that I really encountered the anger, and eventually that anger became a real protector spirit for me, and his name is Jack, and I love him dearly.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was the first time that we jammed together, and that was wild. So yeah, just thanks for listening.
What sprung to my head was in first grade, I watched some bullies pick on this unpopular kid, this little red-haired boy, putting his stuff in a mud puddle or something, and something in me,
Yeah.
I found myself surprisingly like standing up to those bullies and saying,
Hmm.
part of me's going, what am I doing? And
Yeah.
they didn't turn on me, but I
Mhm.
remember an incident later on, and in life. I was shooting a music video and I saw these dudes abusing a cat in the alley, and the same thing. It's just something, not you anymore, right?
Yeah.
You can't hurt a cat.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah. No,
found
cats are
myself
special.
confronting those dickheads too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky that that deeper consequences didn't happen from those two. I think you're right. It doesn't feel like you.
No, no, I believe in those moments when we're standing up to someone that's bigger than us, especially, and we're in defense of someone else. Like that's when the Holy Spirit takes hand. Like I feel it for sure. I feel it in every sense of it. That's your guardians taking your body and being like, "Don't worry, step back and be part of the creation for a second." And that's why the bad things didn't happen. Like it could have been worse. Like it always feels like I got the best part of that deal. Like it could have happened so many worse other ways, and it didn't. And I feel like that's the human special ability. Like that's when we get our X factor, is when we act in defense of another, when we stand up to like odds that are insurmountable. That's what makes us human and special, is that we are able to stand up to what looks like impossibilities and then do the impossible. Like we're the race that never gives up. And I feel like that's the thing that we are stoking right now back into that human collective. Thank you for sharing,
Mm,
because that is beautiful. You are an Avenger, and
I
I
love
see it.
that. Because I've been kind of struggling with that lately. Because I used
Mm-hmm.
to really identify with the warrior, and now I'm going, oh, like, anger. That's kind of a lower vibe energy, but in the right context, no, it can be empowering. It can be,
Mm-hmm.
ooh,
You
it's
need that.
highly energetic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what? You have a special role. Let me share something with you. Um, in the collective, there's not everybody can be a warrior like you. Like not everybody's made out of the same stuff you made out of. And so you live a life, you've lived lives where you've tasted battle. And there are people in existences that have never, they don't have the concept of war. They don't have the concept of having to fight for their life yet. You see what I mean? You're doing it in ways that they won't have to feel it the same way. Because as a collective, we're all experiencing like the blunt, like a trauma. Like together, we are all experiencing the trauma that is the birth of humanity. And we are all like kind of through our life experiences, we're through empathetically, like we're like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like para empathetically, we are going through experiences that the collective is trying to digest as a mind. And so the fact that you have had to sit down and digest some of the hardest lessons that I've heard of, you know what I mean? Fighting men is not easy. Like I can't imagine doing that from what I see right now. Like you look like someone I would want to protect, you know? And so I can't help but be astonished at the feats that you've accomplished. So thank you so much. And that's just, yeah, like you're very blessed and very special. And
Thank
there's a
you for
reason you
that.
have it so protected.
Thank you for that validation, because like after the fight with the plumber on steroids, and I'm flying
Mhm.
back home, and I'm on the plane thinking, oh my God, I feel like Rocky, except nobody knows what I just did. Nobody knows except the other dude, and he's not going to tell anybody he lost a
Yeah.
fight to a little girl, you know.
Well, the universe is watching now. So just so you know, it may not look like we have a lot of views, but in time you'll see a lot of people are going to be listening to this amazing story right here. Yeah, that plumber he got his fucking shit rocked, dude.
Yeah, he did.
That's
Because we wrestled
awesome, man.
after we were done scoring our punches, then we
Uh-huh.
wrestled. And that's where my inner thighs were so strong, I made several dudes pass out. If I could just get
What?
their head between my legs.
Yeah.
My- yeah.
Pop.
Mhm. Yeah, my motto
Wow.
was I'd rather fight than fuck. And that's what
Hey
I did.
man, everyone's got their thing. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, can I have another question?
Sure.
So,
Shoot.
okay, so what has been your experience with some of these earth religions? Like, what was your first experience with religion? If I like to talk about these things because it's so interesting. Everyone has their own little religion monster. of some sort.
Religion, not spirituality. Well, for me, the Presbyterian church, that's what my parents took me to. It was just a real head scratcher because, I heard how God is love and how Jesus was spreading the message of love, but somehow this religion justifies so much hate against others. So, it was incongruent. So how can a God of love be okay with waging wars in his name? It didn't make any sense to me. It finally, when I heard Jesus Christ Superstar for the first time, oh, Jesus is just a man, and he's teaching us that we all can be like him. We're all pieces of God. We're all sons of God. Now then it started making sense.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So like, did you have to go to church a lot, or like?
Well, I sang in the choir, so it was fun.
Okay, hey, that makes it fun.
And I don't remember this. It was boring, so you get through the boring part to get to the fun part, right?
Yeah.
And we had, I remember Christmas Eve candlelight service. They did Silent Night and with candles, and every time we came home, Santa Claus had always been there. So I do remember that.
That's awesome. Like, I wish Santa was around. That what? So it sounds like your beginning religion experience wasn't so bad. It was good. What you rated out of 10?
What?
I said, what would you rate your beginning religious experience? 1 through 10.
Eclectic, because also as a I was part of the elite choir in high school, so we got to perform at all the churches in town, the Greeks, the Baptists, and I thought I've always loved watching people's expression of their spirituality or their religion, but I think there's a huge difference between religion and spirituality. In
Definitely.
Religion, you're told what to believe. In spirituality, you're finding your own truths, and you're connecting with your own.
Yeah, I always like to ask about religion because I feel like that's always like the first, like, Rubik's Cube, I guess, that your spirit is handed as a child. It's like, here, play with this Dementor box to see if you could figure it out. And I found that cube so damn hard. Like, I was like, I'm gonna figure it out. And eventually I realized that, Jesus is just trying to show us that we're all the sons of God.
See, I had that awareness very young. A lot of my clients, they don't have that awareness. They take on those beliefs without question, and it becomes more and more difficult then to get beyond that.
Questioning the foundations of your beliefs are the most important thing. That is like also one of the few things that makes us human, is the ability to be able to do that. There's not too many things that can sit there and be like, why do I even believe this? And then dismantle that belief if they so choose. I think that indoctrination into religion is not necessarily like a requirement, but I do see that for individuals that have expanded outside of the cradle of the starting religions have a lot to gain from the spiritual, like, just the practices in the connection that you can actually foster. And I do believe that, like, even when I was young, and I didn't necessarily like the religious aspects, the teachings, but I did realize that, like, a lot of things that I learned while being like Catholic and Christian and all the other shades of it, there was a lot of moments where it brought my family together. And there was like, the thing is, like I said, my parents weren't emotionally equipped to to probably handle like spiritualism, but they were able to handle religion enough to celebrate those holidays and to like put down all the stupid shit for like at least a day. And like, they weren't always good days, but at least they were there. Like, I can only imagine how difficult like my life would have been if I didn't have the concepts of those things. And I feel like, even though they are obstacles to be, not obstacles, I would say puzzles to be transcended, puzzles of thought,
learnings,
exactly, learning experiences, but I feel like they really saved me in a lot of ways, and I just wanted to give some thanks. Uh,
Yeah.
so thanks for listening.
That's thank you for reminding me that of looking back at the positives. And there you're right, there are so many of,
You know,
yeah,
I
sharing
I
Christmas
feel like
Eve as a
before we
family.
foster that connection with spirit, like before we get our own personal hotline to the one above all, we're babies, and it's we we can't even understand that yet. And so like I feel like for me, I definitely needed I struggled with dealing with like casting I guess like paternal characteristics onto a spiritual thing that has nothing to do with humanity, like that. Um, that was a hard one for me. So like I always saw like the Father, the Mother, the Son, or like the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. I was like, but my dad sucked. Like, and so like I didn't have a good concept of mother, dad, father. So I it messed up my whole thing for a little bit. So yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Thanks
Yeah,
for for listening.
thanks.
So
I guess,
what was your first experience with spirituality? How'd that look?
well, other than that realization, listening to Jesus Christ Superstar, my first true experience was a little bit later on. It was probably 2021.
Okay.
I was living in I was living in Utah with all the Mormons,
Hmm.
and I had an atheist boyfriend who we went up in the mountain one day and took a boatload of psilocybin mushrooms. And so
Word.
that was when I didn't have the words for it then, but that's when I experienced the quantum world where everything is energy. You could
Okay. All right. We gotta
see
dial
the
this back.
air, and you could the this red flower
Ooh.
melded into everything, but it was this energy of red. Everything, you could just perceive that everything is energy. And my
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
later that night I understood evolution. I understood it all for a second or two.
Oh man. Okay. We gotta unpack this story. So what? You're with your friends? How many friends were you with?
Just one.
All right.
We
So
were
just
just,
one friend. He's a good
yeah,
friend. You How close are
yeah,
you
yeah.
guys?
He was my boyfriend.
Oh,
He was,
okay. He's the boyfriend. Okay.
yeah.
So you guys went up and did what now?
I popped his cherry, and then he turned
Oh.
me on to mushrooms.
He's like, girl, you blew mine. I'm gonna blow yours. And
Exactly,
I'm gonna
exactly.
show you some. I'm gonna show you some Jesus. Oh man, what a good boyfriend. Okay, so he takes you up to this mountain, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys, how many mushrooms did you have? Like, what did they look like?
Oh, nice fat baggy.
Okay. So in there, so were they like dried or were they fresh? Do you remember? Were they crunchy?
Goodness. Oh, yeah. I think they were a little
Yeah.
hard to swallow.
Okay. Yeah. Did you have anything to wash it down with?
I don't remember. Damn,
Yeah, that'll
I'm a
happen.
20, I'm 21, I'm 60 now. 40 years ago. No, but you remember that day. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
you never forget. So okay, so tell me the buildup. So what started happening? Like, how did you start knowing? Because this is your first time at mushrooms. So like,
Oh yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
what was the buildup? Like how did it feel? Like when did you start feeling weird? How did that describe it to me?
Okay. It's a funny story.
Uh-huh.
Well, first the color red started popping out. It's like,
Yeah, that's your
oh my
soul
God,
color.
that is really red, and then everything started moving. And then I thought I had to pee, but
Uh-huh.
it was too much to figure all that out. That was just too much. I don't think I peed the entire night. It was just too much. Too much. I can't do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. There's nothing worse than mushroom having to
so
pee.
it's so mundane. There's so, you know.
So all right, so reality starts unraveling at the hinges, right? And the red is dancing off the freaking flowers. And so what happens next? Like, what's going on in your mind? Like, how did you piece together this experience and put it and take it with you?
I just, what I remember most is after nightfall, sitting in his car and just listening to music, things like Rush and Pink Floyd and The Doors, and
Good choices.
and yeah, no kidding. And it was more of the internal stuff that was the information
Yeah.
getting downloaded. That's what I remember the most.
Yeah, mushrooms do a fantastic job of getting you connected with your inner world. And that's the kingdom of heaven right there, just so you guys know. You don't have to read the whole Bible now. I just told you. Yeah, mushrooms will, like, okay, so first mushrooms will give you a light show because they're very gentle. I notice they will be nice to you if you ask for it. And they'll give you a crazy light show and make everything weird enough so that your conscious brain will just let go. It's just like, all right, now you don't know what is going on anymore. We are no longer in control. And then once that happens and you finally like let in and you just sit
relax.
there,
Yeah, you got to relax
you're
into
just like,
it.
okay, I'm done. And then mushrooms like, damn, about time. And then
Yeah.
start stitching you
gosh.
back together.
Right. After it's like the freak out. Oh, this is super cool. And you stop resisting it and just let it happen and relax into it. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, one of my favorite mantras on mushrooms is just feels good, man. Take the ticket, take the ride. Like buy the ticket, take the ride, and just whatever you're feeling, just let it happen. And just
but
like plug me back in.
All of the feelings. You gotta allow the anger and fear to come out too, because it purges it.
Yeah, I feel like after a while I can feel like a motor gets cooked, like turned on in there, and it feels like it's like cooking. And then like I'll start sweating, or I'll just get moist. Like I'll get moist everywhere. Like I'll just be sweating a little bit. I have to pee constantly, but not really. And then my mouth feels dry but simultaneously slimy. And then my nose will run, but only one nostril. And I'm just like, feels good, man.
Wow. For me, it's like I gotta move, and then I can't move. I gotta move. Can't move. But I get into all these different positions,
Yeah.
Like,
I like you'll pose, you'll just hit these weird, and it feels like you're stretching. And totally, that's the best.
But in this position, I'm getting all this different information, and then in this position, I get I'm downloading different.
You start turning into a live antenna.
Why yoga means the connection of body and earth, or spirit and whatever it is, spirit, the connection to spirit and body. Yeah,
I believe it. That makes complete sense to me, because our spines are is a giant electromagnetic antenna, and then our heart chakra is our biggest electro generator. So when we're on mushrooms, we become very heart based. We stop, like our brain starts, turns off for a little bit. We go back to heart based. It increases that magnetic field. Our Merkaba starts being silly, and that's why everything starts getting funky. And then you just let go of some of that old water, man. That's what winds up happening. Your body just lets go of the water. That's why you have to stay so hydrated when you're doing stuff like that. And guys, don't do mushrooms if it's illegal in your country, and this is not good for everybody. It's only for the people that are called to it. And there are ways, and healthy ways to do. These are the holistics of nature, and these are things that have worked in my personal experience, in her personal experience. So with that, you guys are able to always form your own opinions about what. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. I don't care.
No, there are so many ways. There are so many keys to unlocking your awakening, to whatever you want to call it, self-realization.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it.
There are so many ways back to source. It's not even funny.
Yeah, back to source.
Buddha, has found enlightenment in like a grain of sand or some shit like that. Like I'm sure, like anyone, and like that's the thing. The main thing is that you seek it. That's the thing. Like when you seek the connection with God, He will find you. But the thing is, like, He loves you so much that He respects your free will enough to be like, I'll wait until you call. But damn, I can't wait until you call, because I'm gonna make it weird as fuck. And then when you call, it depends on how He wants to meet you. Sometimes, sometimes it's a bag of mushrooms. Sometimes it's a little fancy piece of film that goes on your tongue. Sometimes it's a dream. A lot of people get dreams. Sometimes,
to another person.
Sometimes it's through another person. Oh my God, you fall in love and change your whole fucking life. Love is amazing, dude. There's so many things I could talk about love. So what were just a quick question. How did you overcome shame? I had that one on the side. That was a big one. It's a big question.
Yeah, it is a deal with big one. I'm not sure if I've released it all to tell you the 100% truth.
Well, if I can help you just a smidge, You have nothing to be ashamed of. You're a beautiful earth angel, okay? And there's nothing you could do to be anything. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You could be whatever, man. You crush it. You have fans over here. Just so you
I
know.
I know that on some level, but there's just a piece, some limiting belief I'm still haven't released yet. I just recognize its energy.
I feel you. What do you
You
think in your life you've been the most ashamed of?
know? Anytime where I've caused hurt to another, especially
Mm,
another animal,
yeah.
I may have been not as kind to my snakes at one point or another.
Okay.
That hurts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Feeling shame for the things that we do while we're asleep, that's a part of opening up our hearts too. And the fact that you can feel like now looking back, you feel you empathize with what happened. Like that's the proof that you learned the lesson. And like you don't have to hold on to the shame, but you can definitely know that like now you know that those things feel because you feel for them. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to directly feel exactly what's going on or whatever happened in any format. I definitely was cruel to animals for a bit. I'll come out and say it. Like when I was young, I was like in first grade and I first got to Florida and there was a bunch of lizards like everywhere. And I was just like, oh my God, what are these things? I've never seen them before. And I used to catch them. And I would always want to just like experiment. Like I just want to know like what is the lizard? And like, over time, because I had a lot of repressed stuff going on too. And we shared. So after a while, like I started to dissect them. I wanted to know all I started doing all types of experiments. And I was deeply like looking back, I'm deeply sorry for any wildlife that I've ever hurt. Because like if I wanted to know the lizard, I should have just talked to him. It's a lot easier than what I did, and I definitely didn't learn anything besides to feel, I guess, to feel lizards. I definitely felt that now. So like we all do things that we feel shame about, but the thing is the shame is in the past. Like the shame is to let you know that you can feel something about it, and there's nothing to hold you back, because you definitely had that experience. You needed that experience,
And
and we overcame it.
that's so key with shame, what we just said right there. It
Hmm.
something in shame keeps it connected to the past. And you just
Yeah.
gotta let that shit go.
Yeah, the past is a weird thing, man. I know we're running a little low on time, but I do want to hit up on the past because I'm big on quantum sublimation,
Yeah.
and that's my technique of going to the past, and it's my favorite. And yeah, we follow those lines of trauma, and sometimes it's shame, sometimes it's just any form of negative energy that links us to these places. The places our past should be a fun house for us. Like when we finish something, like you're supposed to remember it, and to be able to go back there and have a good time. We should be able to live in the present and know that our lives are being recorded forever in the Akash. So like you can go backwards and you can go forwards too.
Yeah.
um when I do the healing, when I work with people with trauma and dealing with shame, I notice that one of the biggest things that they need is to for one to just share the story itself, and to know that it was okay to have that experience and to not feel judged for it, because that's another reason why we feel shame, is that we feel like the things that we have done in the dark, even though we've changed, like even though we're different people, we're completely different, we still feel like we're going to be judged for that. You're a different person. That wasn't you. That's not you. You're not hurting snakes. That was past you, and you didn't have control. You didn't have the light in your eye the way that you have it now. Everything is a lot more clear than it was before, and we have to go through those steps of falling and experimenting and hurting, because we're hurting ourselves. That's why you can feel for the snakes. That's why I can feel for the lizards. And then eventually we start to wake up to the ultimate realization that everything, no matter if it's living or not, is a part of source, and it's a part of you, and you're a part of God, and it's beautiful. And that's
Beautiful.
something that we need to all as a collective strive to wake up to, because the kingdom of heaven is here, and it's all around you. And the biggest thing is that we are all so ashamed at what we did in the dark that we are trying to run away from this reality. But the thing is, like, everyone wants forgiveness. everyone wants to let go of the past, and the only way to do that is to start forgiving and to let go, like to truly be okay, like just let it out and talk about it and share, and then
Yeah,
feel
totally. Yeah, I
feel the
too,
connection.
in my work, I
Mm-hmm.
find regression therapy
Mm-hmm.
such a vital key. And then going in there and reframing, because these things happened when you're a child, with before the cognitive mind was even developed. So it has to be addressed on that level.
Yeah, yeah. So not to like leave off on like so like such a somber note, guys. It's gonna be all right. I'm here. I'm Drill Seeker, and I'm here to go through the sadness with you. I love your face. So we're gonna last question, okay? And then 'cause I know you got stuff coming up. What would you say to all those warrior women out there on their journey today? If you can pass on a nugget of wisdom to all those ladies out there, to all those still walking the path, um, what would you say to them right now? It's your thing. It's your time.
One, believe in yourself, set healthy boundaries. And when somebody don't let, when somebody crosses them, that's, don't be wishy-washy.
That's
you
right. You
know,
stand up for those boundaries.
that's right. That's right.
So important.
Be clear on those boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
and don't back down.
That's
Um,
beautiful.
believe in yourself. You are powerful, and power doesn't mean like masculine brutal power. It's so much stronger than that. That's,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
I think it does. I think we all have this very important
it's
power of
it's this,
of
not this. It's
yeah, of the
this,
heart.
not this.
Boom. Opening the doors of the heart swing inward, guys. We have to open up and let things in before we that's the big thing. Everything just goes in there, man. Okay. Everything that's on the outside, it has to go in there. So you have to open up real good. Um
You
one of
mentioned
my
doing you mentioned doing shadow work. That's so important, because so many people want to do what's called a spiritual bypass. They just want to get to the spiritual happy place, but you can't really get there until you do your shadow work. Because
yeah.
if everything is one, everything is all, then that's part of the transmutation.
Yeah. And guys, I'll share something crazy with you guys about shadows. Like for one, they only get bigger. The lighter you think you are and you haven't dealt with your shadows and you're not cool with the shadow side, that just means the darker the shadow. And then two, shadows are like your dude, they're fun. Like you need to go and face them. And then when you face them, you unlock more of yourself, and then it's awesome. Like
If you don't in this life, you're just going to come back and have to face it again. Eventually
yeah,
you will have to face it, so
yeah,
why
like
put it
it's
off?
inevitable. And but the thing is,
Yep.
like you're in a very special place called Earth, where there's like magic is different here. So like the spooky shadows can be held, like you can deal with them in very small ways by going to the past, like with quantum sublimation or QHHT. There's so many different ways to face the shadow in ways that aren't like in a boxing ring. But um and that's why we have community to come together and figure out different ways and share how we can overcome the beast, because it's all our shadows, man. It's all the one shadow, and it's cool. Like I said, it's like a DLC pack. Every time you can overcome it, you just get something more about you, learn deeper, more about yourself. You become more defined, more crystalline, and that should be everybody's goal, is to be more themselves, right? We're all authentic.
Because as we heal and raise our vibration individually, we are also helping the collective. So we're all in this together,
We are
kids,
all in this together. The
boys
only
and
way we can get
girls.
out of it is by walking through this madness hand in hand. So, guys, I want you to stay happy, stay healthy, stay vibing. Thank you so much for coming on to the show today, Tina. I want to keep you on for after show for just a second, but thank you so much. Anything else you want to plug?
My pleasure.
And
Yeah,
just
hook
say
up
anything.
with if you'd like to schedule a QHHT session or any other of my quit your bad habit packages. I'm at openmindtherapy.com, and I look forward to meeting you and being so grateful for your time today, Jarrell,
No
and
problem.
for your invite. And it feels so good to connect um, with with our spiritual community.
Oh yeah, intergalactic family. Let's go. All right, guys. I'll see you another time.